Assalamualaikum, hello. Want to thank you all for coming. I know that during Ramadan it's traditional, obviously, to have the iftars, but usually we're in our own communities, we're with our friends and at a mosque and that sort of thing. And I want to make sure that you understand that this is really no different, and we want to make this an annual event where we're not just with our friends and neighbors from our own Muslim community, but our friends and neighbors who are outside the Muslim community who are joining us here today. And hopefully we can use opportunities like this and invite our non-Muslim friends and neighbors to the mosques as well and have them come and have a better understanding of this community. I think it goes without saying that about a decade ago now, some folks who purported to be Muslim flew planes into the World Trade Center and the Pentagon. And since then, there has been a fire that caught and really spread around the world. The Muslim community here in America was really caught in the shadow of that fire for many years. There was a recoiling by the Muslim community here in the United States. All of the strides and real progress that was made prior to that event with the American Muslim community seemed to come to a halt and regress. There was a real concern over who we are as a community, not just as a Muslim community, but America as a whole. We were going through real conflicts of issues of liberty, justice, and national security, and how they all interact. And at the center of all of that was often the word Muslim and Islam. It got to the point where I think we were wondering whether or not our children can really succeed in this country. It was almost like a relationship that had gone a little bad there, and we were wondering, well, I want her, but does she still want me? And we were asking ourselves that. I want America, but does America still want me? And I think a question that came to mind was, are Muslim Americans able to prosper and have a voice here in America? That was the question, really. Because if the answer was yes, well, then our kids had a future. Well, the answer was Emerge USA. And this organization came to being shortly after, its idea came to being shortly after a Saturday Night Live skit in the presidential election of 2004, where I think it was Tina Fey says that there's a showing of a crescent moon next to her head, and it says the Muslim American community today endorsed John Kerry for president. And John Kerry's camp said, thanks, but no thanks. And that was a joke. And the joke was that the Muslim American community at that point was seen far more as a liability than an asset. And it occurred to some of us that that really was the crux of what was holding this community back from getting back to where it was before. A community that was actively engaged in American society on all fronts, not sitting at home and letting it go by because of the rhetoric they were hearing and all the other negativity that was keeping their door closed. And what we decided was that this organization has to be a voice for this community, and a voice for this community to have a real opportunity to make a difference. You're all here because of one real core idea, that you decided at one point in time that you want to leave this world a better place than it was when you came into it. And because of that, you've taken steps to do it. You've either run for office, you're involved with your student council, you're involved with your community mosque, you're involved with your voice, you're on the radio, you're talking to people, you're doing things to make a difference. That's why you're here. And that's why Emerge USA has grown so much in the last 5 years, far beyond what I would have expected in the 5 years that we've been around. And it's not because of one person or two people or a board, although I appreciate the board very much. It's not because of that. They're very important to us. It's because of all of you and the 120,000 strong on our database. It's those folks who are making a difference. We had a 5-year plan, and mashallah, we've pretty much stuck to it and accomplished a lot. 3 things we wanted to do in those first 5 years. First, we wanted to set up what we called emerging voters, registering people to vote, building that infrastructure so that we could have absentee ballots, get people to come out and vote, knowing where your precinct is, knowing that here's election day, knowing that here's when early voting starts. All of those things that seemed absent in our community, we needed to work on that first and get people to be engaged in the civics around them. The next thing we worked on was building a database, and we called it Emerging Data. And with that database, we went around and polled you incessantly. And I apologize if you've gotten our calls hundreds of times over the last few years, but it's because we needed to talk to you. We needed to collect data on you, and we've done that. And that data has enabled us to be able to go around and tell our elected officials that, you know what, this community is absolutely really no different than any other community that's out there. We believe economy is the number one problem, and we believe that we have to look out for our education of our children, and we all want to have good health care, and we all have the same real goal of securing our borders and having a safe America. And we showed that over and over in every single poll around the state. Emerge has also started an Emerging Leaders program. This is a program that I urge you to learn more about, and I want you to make sure that you support it. This is going to change what's going to happen in this state for our Muslim American community and for other minorities. It is a program that's designed to create young leaders, 16 to 24, get them together and get them engaged in the process at this early age. Why? Because there needs to be a pipeline of young minorities coming into civics, understanding the importance of it, understanding policy from all sides, not being an ideologue and not relying on rhetoric, but looking at moderation and civility in politics, and moderation and civility that leads to real policy that can make this a better America. That's what we're trying to create here.